When you think of the PlayStation 1, what game do you think of? Metal Gear Solid, Tekken 3, one of the Crash Bandicoot or Spyro games? For me it will always be Ape Escape, and that will never change. The only 3D jumping ones where I would say yep, I like these more than Mario. A game that makes you think this shouldn't work as well as it does when you hear that it's basically just a game about catching apes. An albino ape called Spectre obtains a helmet that makes him extremely smart but also turns him a bit evil. Shows you that smart people are evil. Good thing I'm not really smart, so you can trust me since it shows me I'm a nice person because I'm stupid. His plan is a bit dumb, but a good plan never works anyways. He gets the time machine from the professor and then plants apes all over the different time eras so they can change history and turn apes into the apex predators instead of us humans so they can rule over us instead. So it's a bit like Planet of the Apes. I have actually never watched that movie, so I don't know how accurate that statement is. So now it's up to Spike to fix all of that while the professor and Katie, who is actually called Natsumi, make some nice gadgets for you to use to catch all of those apes and put an end to Spectre's plan. I wonder who had the plan to change the names around like that. This is Natsumi, but in America she's Natalie, but in Europe she's Katie, but here in Europe they changed her name back to Natsumi for the second and third game, while America just said nah, keep it that way. It's the first game that used the DualShock. It's called that way because it will shock you just as much as when you touched a pair of boobs for your first time, since a pair of that is also dual. Most of the time. If you haven't touched one then well, it will happen one day. I believe in you and myself. If you did not have a DualShock controller, then you could not play the game. I wonder how many people bought this game without knowing that, and well, they probably didn't have a funny Christmas that day then. Nowadays, when you never have played these games before, it will feel a bit weird to you probably, since we are also used to using the second stick for camera and aiming stuff, instead of using it for a net or a bunch of other gadgets. So it may take a bit of time to get used to it, unless you're an Ape Escape pro who has played them before and will feel right at home. Over the course of many years on the internet, I've seen people who dare to speak the following words. That they would prefer the games if they just used a normal button for the net or gadgets, and it makes me think I'm a priest at church who suddenly has a little kid who tell me that Jesus deserves to get betrayed. You can't say that, I think it's blasphemy. It's what makes Ape Escape Ape Escape. Every time I read that, I'm afraid of living in a nightmare where Sony will actually announce another one and they do exactly that. Not everything has to play the same way. I get where they are coming from, since the game tries its best to give you the best possible views with the limited camera controls you have. But everyone makes mistakes. Even someone like Messi missed some easy goals. So at times the camera still gets stuck on rocks or walls and makes you wish you actually had more control over it instead of just adjusting it with the L1 button all the time. But do you have total control over your own life? Probably not. If you do, then please teach me how to take control, even if I may prefer to be submissive. The only thing I hate about the controls in the Ape Escape games are these boats, the tank, or the dumb mecha in Ape Escape 3, where you have to use both sticks to control it, and regardless of how often I have played these games already, I can't get used to it. I don't even know why. I would call myself a dumb but not super duper dumb person. Maybe you're like me and will always have trouble with them, but I think if you're an average person with an average brain, then you won't mind these controls. Somehow the game is just so cool, even if it shouldn't really be cool. It may look like a game for kids, but the charm it has is for everyone. I don't even want to pit it against any other game, but if you compare to the cuteness of something like Mario or even Astrobot nowadays, it feels cute but cool cute, not just cute cute. It feels teenage boy cute cool, not kids cool cute. If you showed Astrobot or the newer Mario games to your parents, they will tell you to go get a job or else they will finally kick you out for being a man-child that will probably start balding soon, so you will try to hide it by wearing caps with a Nintendo or Sony logo on it, maybe also Sega. Maybe also start a retro gaming channel that will jog off about how gaming was so much better, while all of your videos are just about extremely popular retro games instead of diving way deeper into those topics, since you're a poser who doesn't actually care about the games but about people thinking your collection is impressive when you have it in the back of your videos with RGB lighting that only an 8-year-old kid nowadays would be jealous of. Yeah, the world really needed another video about the top 5 JRPGs of all time, and then it's just Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 7 and some duper duper quirky pick like Quest 64 because you're not like the other girls. All while making soy face expressions on your thumbnails without a single ounce of shame when you look at them yourself because you think you have to do them because of the magical YouTube algorithm, so you can complain about low views since you're just in it to try to make some money instead of doing it for the passion. But if you showed your parents Ape Escape, they would think, wow, I'm proud of my son even if he is 41 years old and still lives at home with us without paying a single cent of rent. You wouldn't even need to show them the game itself, just show them that ape with the sunglasses on the cover, that's all it takes. If you're on a date, show them that picture of the ape. I always carry a picture of him with me, it works. The style of it is just timeless. It was a pretty game back then and it's still a pretty game. Nobody can look at it and think, wow, this aged badly. Look at the reflections in the minigame room. You don't even need ray tracing and all that fancy smancy stuff when you can have this. It's the kind of game where you don't even mind the low draw distance, and if you do mind it, then don't. To me it even adds to the levels because it gives them a more mysterious atmosphere. You go to these old places that existed long before you, just like going back to the PS1 after you are so used to next gen graphics. Making you think of times you didn't exist in, or maybe you did. I can still remember when the dinosaurs were walking right among us. See, dinosaur. I will forever love dinosaurs, but in video games they scared me as a kid, since well, they are almost always trying to kill you. Same here when you have to make the dinosaur bonk himself against the wall to drop the ape on him. It's like a game of Crocodile, where you are too afraid to stick your finger between the teeth and always put it back while giggling in a nervous way. So I jump off the ledge and get that nervous feeling and get back up as fast as I can. I hope you understand what I mean by that. I always hated the walled city in Star Fox Adventures because of that, having a bunch of T-Rexes running around just waiting to eat you. I don't want to be eaten. Like how Dexter has to eat you in his level. Who is Dexter? This oversized turtle thing. War fans, eat your heart out. Sometimes I wonder how it's possible to develop fetishes that are not humanly possible. How does a brain think, yep, I want to be eaten like that and get stuck in their tummy? I'm happy I'm a normal person, for the most part. Maybe it's time to go to the hot springs to get cleaned up after swimming around in the belly sauce of a turtle. It must be a total vibe to take a bath in a hot spring when there's snow all around you, because your brain will think, wait, isn't it supposed to be cold since snow means cold? But then the water is actually hot. Amazing how our world works sometimes. Or maybe a little trip to the Great Wall of China. That really is a big wall. We Germans are used to big walls too. I sometimes wish it would have been brought back. It's just kinda cool to have a big wall like that instead of your own country. Except for the people who then have to live in the shitty part. Did you know that Germany has the most castles in the world? I don't know if that's true. Sometimes you read that fun fact and then others say it's wrong while others say it's also not wrong. Who cares? As long as you can visit one in Ape Escape. Maybe even because it's also one of the best stages in the game. There's so many paths, a little shortcut later on through the sewers, and everything about it just feels so flowy. Because the game baits you into thinking it's the final stage, so you only have to catch Spectre. You catch as many monkeys as you can, since the game won't throw you out of the level when you caught too many. It even has a boss, who you just have to run away from till the electricity runs out so you can hit him. He's not really fun to fight, and I preferred how the game handles boss battles before that, since they are more like a race where you have to get to the finish first. I mean, that's how a race works. Your best friend who is getting mind controlled is your opponent in them, and he's not half bad, but you're better. Show him how inferior he is, kick some dust into his face to make him cry and suffer through life for the rest of it, because he will always be in the shadow of Spike. All the other boss battles, even the final boss, are basically just you having to avoid attacks, so then the boss opens up his weakness so you can hit it for massive damage, and do that 5 times. They are not trash tier boss battles, but also not something you look forward to on replays. I like boss battles that make me go onto the attack, not just where I have to be on the defense till I am allowed to attack. Mostly because it allows me to beat them faster, but bosses here will always take the same amount of time since you have to wait for them to finish their stuff. Also, it has one of the best beach levels ever. If you ever watch the top 10 beaches in video games video and this isn't on the list, then you know the person who made it is a total fraud. Someone who deserves to get unsubscribed if you were subscribed to them. Leaving them a bad comment too, unless they like it like me. The sandcastles, the coral reef that looks so alive unlike the ones in the real world nowadays. And I would love to just relax at the beach here. Ape Escape games in general are perfect summer games. Why? Because well, they are hot games. Mostly because of Sharu, the AI that lives in the professor's computer. I wish it would live inside of mine instead. The only kind of AI I will accept. The levels don't only look great, but they also get harder and harder in such a fun way. The natural progression of just having to jump here and there to making use of your whole arsenal is like, man, I love it. But it never gets to a point where it feels unfair, except that I hate the rocket apes. Apes should not be able to shoot rockets at me, and it wouldn't be Ape Escape when you sometimes struggle to catch some of them. Every once in a while you will just chase after a monkey for 2 minutes and think, why can't I catch this little freak? Till you finally get him. Like how I struggled with this fella only because I wanted to though, to make the whole place look even more scary. Look at the lava, that looks more like blood. They are also huge towards the end of the game and just keep going. They may be cut into different sections, but even then they are big. Something I can't relate to since I'm short. Big things are neat though, because who gets a small pizza when you can get a big pizza, right? Every time you unlock a new level you just go, hell yeah, I can't wait to see what's next. Even people who hate ice levels will love the ice levels, and so on. Inside the levels there's not only apes to be found, but also Spectre medals that unlock minigames if you collected enough, so go ahead and do that. And then there's also special colored apes and puzzle pieces and toenails and random nuts and money to be found. Wait, this isn't Banjo-Tooie. There's ski kits, racing, and I don't think I have to really say what you do in it, right? You ski and try to get first place without crashing. Pretty fun for a bit. Spectre boxing is about two apes boxing, and I'm not good at it because I'm a pacifist. I don't want to punch other people or apes. That's mean and I'm not mean, probably. And then there's also Galaxy Monkey, a fun shoot 'em up kind of game where you just try to destroy as many enemies as you can when you fly around with the left stick and aim with the right stick. They are fun little things, that's also what my bros call me, but everyone knows Monkey Soccer, or I would like to call it Monkey Football, and Metal Gear Solid are the two kings of the Ape Escape minigames. The game feels a bit of a theme park ride. You get onto one, enjoy the ride, and then get thrown onto the next one, since the levels kick you out after a specific amount of apes caught. For a good reason, at least in the early game, since some of the apes can't be gotten yet since you lack the gadgets needed, so they wanna spare you from trying to waste your time trying to get them, because you can't get them. And I like that system. In Mario 64, always being booted out of the portrait feels a bit like why? Since I want to go right back into the same level, why not let me stay in it? Even though the levels in that game change too, depending on what mission you pick, so even there it makes sense. Here though, I think the devs just wanted you to go from level to level without already replaying one. So beat the game, get every gadget unlocked, and then enjoy hunting to your heart's content. You're not meant to catch them all on your first visit to it. You may dislike that, but sometimes that's how life is. Also the levels will feel new again since you can explore them in different ways now with the Skyflower or the other gadgets. So it never bothered me personally, it's pretty hard to bother me anyways. Talking about theme parks, there's even a theme park level in the game with a spooky mansion, some Wild West action, or even a roller coaster you can ride, like in Mad Panic Coaster for the PS1, a game about riding roller coasters. I even made a video about it once, and it may be one of the hardest games I've played and beaten. And the section here in Ape Escape 1 is also pretty damn hard, even with the checkpoints. I think if most people would have to pick a single thing they hate about the game, it would be this part. Understandably, I still like it though. Welcome to the great gadget ranking show where I will now rank the gadgets you get in the game. The Stun Club is there to just bonk these apes so they stay still, so they're easy to catch or to defeat normal enemies. Not a very exciting gadget, but well, you need to use it often and it's fun to bonk things. Maybe I should have become a cop so I can get away with doing that. It gets an B from me for that since I'm too short to become a cop in my state, so it's fun to do it in the video game. The next gadget is the one that everyone knows Ape Escape for, the net. And I hate it. I have to take this stand since I don't enjoy animal abuse. Don't catch animals in nets. Let them live freely. Even if these apes try to take over the world. Let animals do what they want. Who cares actually? It's fun to use. Go catch yourself a cute cat that you see on the street sometimes with a net. If one of your neighbors rings your doorbell and asks you if you have seen that cat, just say no. So totally an S-rank gadget since it will get you many cute pets. The water net is net. Only Germans will get this joke. It allows you to swim faster and dive and also press the right stick to catch swimming monkeys with it. Doesn't even take up an item slot and I appreciate that. The unsung hero since I normally hate swimming, despite loving to take baths and showers and drinking ice cold water whenever I feel bad. It will always help you to feel better, not as much as Pepsi Max though. Look at this mushroom in the middle of the swimming pool I always went to as a kid, so it gets a B. If you use the monkey radar, then you're a bad gamer. Nobody ever uses this since most of the time you can even hear the monkeys when they're hiding in something. It's a waste of an item slot pretty much for me, except for one use of it. You can stalk the apes with it. Like this one who is in cage for his own safety. I'm scared too of him now. Maybe he's scared of himself. Well, I would be too. I need to be caged too. Really relatable. Just for that alone it gets an S, like Stalker. The games, not the actual stalking. That would get a Z because you shouldn't do that. Unless we're talking about Stalker 2, that's as bad as actual stalking. The super hoop makes you run really fast for when you need to, like still wanting some snacks but the store is closing in 5 minutes. Or just run into apes because it's fun. But it's a bit like a hula hoop thingy and my sense of rhythm is terrible. I once played Rhythm Heaven for a friend and it was the most embarrassing thing I've ever done because I sucked extremely hard at it. Because of that it gets a C. I was never allowed to have my own slingshot because well, why would anyone even have one? What do you do with it? You don't have to shoot nuts at switches in real life, so you would probably just shoot other people, even on accident. And that would not be great. Not saying I would have done that as a kiddo, but the temptation would have been there. Here you use it to defeat enemies from afar, shoot apes down from their little hanging sessions, or shoot switches. There's 3 types of ammo, and the normal one is normal. It deals damage to weak enemies, but if they got armor on, you gotta use one of the explosive. There's one that you have to aim yourself, and one that is targeting the enemies. Fun to use since I like to shoot in video games. A tier. I always wanted to fly, then the Skyflyer is for you, even though it's not really flying but gliding up and down. Rotate the stick and go wee, and when you keep spinning in the air, you glide down. If you wanna go down fast, just stop spinning and you will hurt yourself probably, and hurting yourself is not fun. Don't drop from such a high distance. And I say that as a masochist. I have a soft spot for this one, so I will just put it into S tier for movement, because it's fun to use it in your movement. The RC car is top tier. It doesn't really do much except for activating switches with it or going through small holes to get the apes out of there, but you know what people say, every hole is a goal. Even with an RC car. My parents never bought me one because they knew I would have used it for a day or two and then never again. Not like I wanted one anyways, really. You can also use it to bong into the apes, and I think I would have done stuff like that with a real RC car too. Till I hit a person with it that just kicks it away and breaks it. Maybe I would have deserved that then though. S rank. You only get the magic punch after beating the game because, well, those apes who are still out there deserve to be punched by this thing. It's basically an upgraded stun club since it can also destroy boxes and has a bit more range to it. So it's perfect to go into the levels again and use it to beat up the apes. Like I said, it hurts them, but it has to be done. Someone has to do it. Especially since if you want to go for 100%, you get the true ending of the game with another final boss battle. So catch them. Go catch them. Do it. Every time you fully clear out a level with the powerful help of the gadgets, you also unlock a time attack mode for that level, where you can put your ape catching skills to the ultimate test. I'm not the type of person who plays these kind of modes, but it's always nice to have it, right? So people who like it can be on cloud 9, while people who don't like it, well, can just not touch it. Learning the best routes to catch as many apes as possible and be the best ape catcher in your circle of friends, if you have any. And then there's the OST that just rounds out the whole package. Shout out to the random game director who isn't even named on the wiki page, who listened to Zuichi Terada's music and was like, damn, we gotta get this guy to make the soundtrack for the game. Like always, I'm not a music expert, and especially not when it comes to electronic music, but it's maybe also why it shows how good it is. Whenever I hear the OST, it just makes me want to delve deeper into drum and bass to find some relaxing stuff. When a single word actually makes you want to check out a whole genre, you know it's special. Happened to me with hip hop back in the day. I wasn't one of those people that preached about how metal or rock is better than hip hop, but I just never connected with it, till I watched Samurai Champloo and was like, wow, this is great. Rest in peace to Nujabes. Maybe I would have never looked over the edge of my plate if he never composed the soundtrack for it. The music of Ape Escape 1 is just magical. You put it on and just get lost inside of it, and it's the kind of game where you would also never expect this kind of soundtrack from. And you will be disappointed by Ape Escape 2 because of that. In that game, they decided to not get Terada back on the board, and you can feel the loss of it. It feels more like what you would expect from a 3D jumpin' one. It's not bad by any means, but it's also not special like this. Luckily they brought him back for Ape Escape 3, so it's never too late to fix your mistakes. If you regret something, go try to change it, unless you want to call you X. Don't do that. Everyone will love this game. It's a game that can't not be loved. If someone hates the controls, they will still love it. If someone hates apes, they will still love it. If someone is a total Nintendo fan and did some voodoo stuff to put spells onto Sony and Sega fans so they die, even that kind of person would love this game. Your parents, God, your kids one day, you could go back into time and show this to Hitler and he would have not turned out the way he did. He would have loved this game and it would have turned him into a better person. It makes you realize that maybe Spectre had the right idea. If we all just kept being apes, then there wouldn't have been any wars, probably. So maybe we are the actual villains of the game when we try to stop his plan. You know what they say, when you are a kid, you always think you're the hero when you play or watch something. But the older you become, the more you realize that maybe it's not always like that, and sometimes the villains have a point. It's crazy how they got so much right on their first try. The later games have improvements here and there, especially in the camera department, but at its core it was almost perfected here already. The only thing that really stands out as a thing the franchise has massively improved on is the flavor of the apes. They have tons of charm here too, but if you know how many cool new outfits they had in the other games, it's a bit lacking. So if you never played the games before and start with this one, you can look forward to some really drippy apes later on. Here it's mostly the apes in the snow levels that have some cool looks to them, or else they would freeze to death, and the only other thing that sets them apart is the color of their pants. I hate wearing pants. I wish they never got invented. Just wear comfy shorts or skirts or whatever. Do anything except pants. People who wear pants at home are weird. Take them off right now if you're wearing any. Yoga pants and sweatpants are allowed though, those are comfy. The color of their pants also shows how meek they are, or the complete opposite. That can also be really subjective though. There's people out there who will love these apes for who they truly are, themselves. They're not dressed up as anyone else or trying to mimic their personalities, just good old classic apes, with guns and stuff sometimes. In Ape Escape 3, many apes are just pop culture references, and while those fit in that game, since it's about making TV shows and movies, it kinda can be a bit too much of that. But you gotta keep those apes fresh somehow. The state of the world makes me feel sad. Look at how many millionaires and billionaires exist, and not a single one of them spends their money on cute and cool video games. What's up with that? Oh well, better buy me another $300 million house instead. I don't care if you do human experiments. I don't care if you avoid paying your taxes so I have to pay more despite having less money. As long as you would give me an Ape Escape 4. It can't be that hard to be a cool billionaire, right? Spend your money for me, not for yourself. Because it would be nice, you know? With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night, or whatever fits your time zone. I will never give up the hope for another one of these games, but even if they will never return, I think I would be kinda fine with it. Sometimes less is more, that's totally not just me trying to cope with it. Imagine if they ever make Ape Escape 4 and it sucks. Wouldn't it suck more than if it never existed? I think so. Bye bye.